At a time where credit card debt in the United States is at an all-time high, a federal judge is now blocking the White House's attempt to put a cap on excessive credit card late fees. Here to talk with us more about that is Dan Casey with Bridgewater Advisors. Thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
So we're seeing that this change has now been in place. They were trying to get something in place to block those fees. How often are people with credit cards dealing with those late fees?
So it's not horrible. It's usually about 20% that are dealing with the late fees. And I kind of go back and forth on this. I don't know what your thoughts are on this, but we know what the contract is before we get into it, right? We know that if we have a late fee, there's going to be a fee. But I do go on the other side as far as we can't let the companies just charge whatever the heck they want either, because sometimes people are in a position where they. Sometimes it happens, and so you can't just charge whatever you want. So yeah, I go back and forth on that.
Sure, yeah, a judge who blocked the decision cited a 2022 decision that found it unconstitutional. So it really goes back to, like you said, reading the fine print before you agree to take on that card, because it can leave you with a lot of headaches.
Yes, and this won't be shocking, but credit cards were never meant to be a long-term loan or anything. They're designed to be just a short-term strategy in case you need some money, pay it off at the end of the month. And that's when it gets, and when we sign the contract, we see all the fine print. We know what we're going to be charged if we're carrying a balance or if we're late. So it's just a matter of really sticking to the plan of, and this I know is common sense, but not charging more than you can't pay off before the end of the month, right?
And for a lot of people, it can be a little tempting if you get a big limit.
Yes.
And you think, of course, up front, I'll pay it back, or I'll have some kind of plan in place. But before you know it, it can avalanche and get pretty out of control.
Yes. Speaking of avalanche, so there's a couple ways to pay off it if it does get that crazy. So the avalanche method is making the minimum payments on all your other credit cards and attacking everything you have to the highest interest rate credit card. So that's the avalanche. And then once that's paid off, you celebrate, and then you go attack the next one. The snowball effect is taking the one with the smaller balance, paying that off first, because that gives you the dopamine to be happy and then to reward yourself, and then you go on to the next one. So there's a couple of different strategies to pay it off if you do have high balances. Another strategy too, I guess, because I've even been in this position where, so I'll just make sure that it's automatic to make at least the minimum payment. So that way you'll never be late, and then of course you can always make more than that, and obviously you should, but at least to set it up to make the minimum payment automatically for you.
Sure. We were talking about this issue with you around the holidays about people getting those credit cards, racking them up. I'd imagine that some of those people right now are trying to figure out how to pay them off. You just gave some methods there, but if someone finds that they are just in dire financial situations, how can you set that money aside while still trying to live, but being able to get it done?
Yeah, that's tricky. You've got to find out what the minimum is, right? To be able to pay your rent or mortgage or whatever. And start packing those lunches. Stop going on to Amazon or to Starbucks and really get the minimum. And then maybe set up an automatic withdrawal, right out of your checking account into savings, so you don't even see it. So you can at least get some more money to throw at those credit card debts. And then if you do get it paid off, and Christmas is a bad time for you, start saving, earlier in the year and start having a nest egg so you can either pay off the credit card or not use the credit card at all. That would be.
And we saw that they were trying to take those fees from $30 to around $8.
Yes.
What do you think are reasonable fees for people, depending on their income, of course?
Yeah, I guess it'd probably be somewhere in between is kind of where I would think. And I really hate to legislate how much a company can charge for the various services. Again, it's all detailed in the fine print. So if you know going into it, they certainly shouldn't be allowed to change it mid-game if you've got a balance, of course. But yeah, so somewhere I would say probably in the middle is usually the safe bet.
Okay, so read the fine print.
Read the fine print.
And make sure you can afford it before you start doing all that spending.
Know what you're getting into.
Yeah. Anything else people need to keep in mind?
Just save. We always say that, but just save. Try not to use them at all if you can.
Just use it for emergencies.
That's right.
All right, Dan Casey joining us with that useful information. Dan, thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.